everyone, I'm Senae.
And I'm Shateeka that's for City Schools TV. And thanks for joining us on another episode of Building a Generation.
In this episode, we are here to bring you the most important news and updates from city schools. We will highlight a tour that state legislators took of the Student Learning Center at Lakeland Elementary Middle School.
Then we stopped by Pimlico and Dorothy Heights Elementary Middle School to explore the student learning centers and special ed classes.
We will also recap the youth town hall and then finish off the episode with some helpful tips from the media team on attendance and virtual learning.
This is our way to help you out, so let's get through this together. In this first video, the staff at Lakeland walk us through the health and safety protocols that are in place.
Each legislator asks questions while also getting a chance to see the process.
State legislators from Baltimore City visited Lakeland Elementary School to witness how city schools is keeping students and staff safe during in-person learning. Using social distancing, the legislators watched as English learners and special education students, along with the Student Learning Center scholars, use PPE while learning.
We have a lot going on at Lakeland. It's not just the Student Learning Center program. We have a special ed classroom. We have a couple ESOL classrooms, and eventually this site is going to grow because it's one of the schools where we're going to increase programming for kindergartners and other special ed students. So it's a really exciting environment, and it's running beautifully courtesy of our amazing leaders here. We have city school staff and rec staff working together to staff these classrooms.
School staff explain how temperature checks, masks, dust shields, and classroom pods are used.
Our planning department comes in and actually measures everything, which is why there's like little tape to make sure that we're getting it right. There's a hand sanitizer and the spray bottle. Each classroom receives spray bottle. We all have to clean now because of the situation we're in, and so it's part of the action, and the custodian will come in and do a thorough clean. And you saw the arrows. This is just to it's a kind of like a behavioral science as a reminder of just trying to put markers in place throughout to continually remind people how to flow and how traffic flows, and they've done a great job.
District leaders were also on hand to explain how our safety procedures will be used as more in-person learning sites come online this fall.
I think it started off as quite a culture shock, but everyone is starting to buy in. We created this vision together and discussed whether your role was prior to this. We all were in the service industry and putting others before ourselves. So once we did that, we gathered what our motives were and said we're going to create an environment to facilitate learning. And so while it's not quite school, we still are emphasizing preparing students to be college and career ready, whether it's rec staff, city school staff. So that's what we've been doing, rallying together.
As you can see, city schools are hard at work to ensure student and staff safety.
Yeah, I wonder if high school students will have the same setup as Lakeland.
I'm sure all schools will follow the standard operating procedures.
Definitely. Now let's check out the Student Learning Center over at Pimlico Elementary Middle School to see how things are going.
Definitely encouraged. It's been so long since March. So to have students in the building and to see them learning, see it possible, everything is done safely. I think that eases the teachers' minds, it eases the parents' minds, and of course the students. It's routine now. The masks are routine. They know they're coming in, they're getting checked, sanitizing constantly. It's not a problem. It's a routine. We have several different students from different schools that come here. Those students are happy. Parents are happy because a lot of them, it posed problems for work. So I think it was a great support to parents who are working and didn't have care for their students. Even in the halls, the social distancing, really having tight schedules to make sure that it's not too many students in one place at a time, even just in the hallway. So it's just really having that tight scheduling. We have the labeling, and I think after a week of reminding everyone of the mask, it'll be smooth. But it's just making sure that we social distance and our schedules are tight. They miss us. So it's very encouraging to see that it's possible and that it's happening.
The more and more I watch these videos, it makes me actually miss being in school.
Facts. I honestly miss seeing my friends and be able to talk to them in person.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Speaking of in-person learning, let's jump into this next story that covers the in-person supports for students with disabilities programs over at Dorothy Heights.
And as you can see, we are taking every precaution.
What we saw today was one of our deaf, hard of hearing classrooms for our students who are receiving specially designed instruction. This is our elementary classroom. We also had one of our early learning students in that classroom. And the students, again, are receiving in-person direct instruction. We have an interpreter in the classroom also to provide that additional support for our students. But also, they were still sitting 6 feet apart, practicing social distancing. We make sure that we wipe down the desk frequently throughout the day. But again, we wanted to make sure that we were providing the individual needs as identified on the students' IEPs.
All right, Cindy.
Good job, Dave.
We do have support staff here. One of the directors, Mr. Donnie Bushrod, who is the Director of Inclusion, is working collaboratively with the site lead to provide those additional supports as well. So I just want everyone to know that this is something that we can do in city schools. We can provide in-person support and services for our students that are receiving specially designed instruction in a healthy and safe environment for both our students as well as our staff. We can make sure that all are safe, providing PPE, following health and safe guidelines, and providing those individual needs for our students.
We definitely need to help our students with disabilities. This pandemic cannot be easy on them.
And getting to be with their teacher is special.
We all know that virtual learning can be hard for anyone, especially for students with disabilities.
And the beautiful people at Lakeland Elementary Middle have opened up their school doors to give these students the opportunity to have in-person learning too.
So let's see how it's going in Lakeland.
About 5 students that come in each day to receive their in-person instruction, especially design instruction. We have 2 aides that come in to support for those students that need that direct instruction. We provide their lunch and their breakfast in the classroom. And for those students that are still receiving their instruction virtually, the teacher is also able to provide that instruction virtually as well. That direct instruction that many of our students need to have in person. And we work very closely with our families as well. To keep them safe, each student has their own learning station pretty much. They have the desk, they have the shields, they have facial masks and facial shields based upon their individual needs, what they need. Each staff member in the room also has a facial mask. The students have hand sanitizer. There's also the air ventilation machines that are in the room as well. There are markings on the floor so students know where to stand to practice safe distancing. So we can actually see students progressing. They're happy to be back amongst their peers, amongst their teachers. We're able to see them engaged, both those that are in person and those that are still learning virtually. They're still engaged in the lesson. And we saw some of that today as the students that were virtually were answering the questions as well as those students that were in the classroom. So we're really excited about this opportunity. It really takes a village. We work with the Office of Pupil Transportation, Facilities, Food and Nutrition, the school's office, worked very closely with our school leaders, our teachers, and our families. I mean, it took all of us to really come together to be able to meet the individual needs of our students and to make sure that we were providing all of the support for both in-person as well as virtual learning.
I'd like to give a special shout out to Dr. Deborah Brooks and the entire special education department.
I totally agree. We really do have people on the front lines for our students.
All right, let's actually take a quick break from the show.
Right. That stretch of stories was emotional.
But when we return, a youth town hall brings up important issues.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back.
Recently, we hosted a youth town hall that talked about mental health support, bullying, and opportunities for youth.
Our voices matter, so let's see some clips.
Oh, definitely. So for me, I'm definitely going to say I kind of think that's actually hard because I think that virtual learning is fun. It is. I think it's really fun for me because you think of the idea. Oh, if I'm gonna be in camp, I get to just put on a nice school shirt or put on a shirt and just keep my pajamas on, stay comfortable. I'm doing that type of thing. So that is it's some good some pros and cons about virtual and in person. But for me, if I definitely had to pick, I probably would choose both, which is kind of crazy, but I would definitely choose to do some days in person and some days virtual. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. I've never honestly had that option before to.
They were definitely dropping some gems in that town hall. I hope our peers were listening.
Indeed. If you or anyone you know is having trouble with school or bullying, please reach out to your counselor or principal and get that help you need.
Even though school's virtual, you still need to show up, and remember, attendance is still key.
That's right. This school year requires help from everyone.
And the student media team has made some videos for helpful tips for virtual learning.
From taking breaks to having a good study habit, our advice can help you have a smooth school year.
Make your school year comfortable and form-fitting just for you.
Let's roll the clips.
Here are 3 helpful tips for online virtual learning this year. My first tip to you all is to start a routine. Doing so will help you stay organized and will help you crush next school year. My second tip to you all is to stay organized. That will help you stay engaged in lessons because you already know where your supplies is. My third tip to you all is to stay positive. That will keep you motivated throughout the year. Thank you for listening to my tips. I hope they were very helpful. Enjoy your school year. Thanks.
Hey guys, it's Niles. I'm going to give you guys 3 tips on how to conquer virtual learning this year. So, let's go. Listen to some music that you enjoy. It is the best thing to get you up and running and energized. As you can see, I'm listening to music while I'm over here washing my face, while I'm brushing my teeth, even while I'm putting on a shirt. It is the best thing to do to get you up and running. My second tip for you guys is to set reminders for yourself. Set reminders for when work needs to be done or when class is going to start. We have to stay on top this year since it's virtual learning. So if you set reminders, I'm positive you can get that done. And for my final tip to you guys, just get it done. Go out and be active. We do not want to be at the computer all day. So thank you for listening to these tips. I hope you have a great school year.
I know it's been hard to be social during this pandemic. If you're feeling lonely, talk to a friend. If you aren't able to see them, give them a call, give them a text. Make plans with them. You may not be able to go out right now, but you'll have something to look forward to. Talk about what's been keeping you busy. You may be able to use some of their methods.
I hope this tip helps. Remember to be social and stay clean. See you next time.
We might be learning at home, but we're not in this alone. Attendance still matters each and every day. So come on, log on.
Grab your snacks. Come on, log on.
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 We believe in you.
We need you in class.
Come on.
Log on.
And just like High School Musical, we're all in this together.
Your attendance is more than valuable, so please log on.
Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of this episode of Building a Generation.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the district website and our social media platforms for the latest info.
It changes every day.
This has been Shateeka Dallas
and Senae Destiny for City Schools TV.
Stay safe
and see you soon.